Hello and welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm John Bachman. Joining me right now from Washington, D.C. is Mike Duncan. He is the president and CEO of the American Coalition for Clean Coal Electricity. Mr. Duncan, thanks for being with us.
John, thanks for having me and welcome to ACE.
Well, it's good to have you with us at Newsmax. And of course, we're doing this interview on the heels of this new announcement coming from EPA Administrator Gina McCarthy. She recently announced there will be new regulations that seek to limit even further carbon emissions from new power plants. Obviously, this is going to have a huge impact on the coal industry. And tell us exactly how.
Well, they're standing in the way of innovation in America, and I don't think that's the right thing to do. Those who believe that we can get by without coal are sticking their heads in the sand. These regulations are dangerous. They're economically destructive to the people of this country, and I'm hoping that people will rise up during this comment period and let them know that. For the first time ever, our federal government is choosing sides. So they say they have an all-of-the-above program. However, they're trying to cut coal out by de facto banning new coal plants in this country.
Now, in a previous statement, you said that ironically the new EPA regulations could actually do long-term harm to the environment. Tell us how.
Well, they could because they're not helping innovation. They're discouraging innovation. What I mean by that, we recognize that carbon sequestration is something that in the future will be viable for coal plants. And we have some plants that are being tested in this country, but none are ready commercially at this point to be deployed. And that's a flaw in their logic because under the law that they're relying on, which I'm not sure that they can rely on, the Clean Air Act, they have to use proven technology. What they're doing by putting the regulations out on the new plants mean that people will not invest in this innovation, and it's creating uncertainty in the market. We have a first-generation plant that's under construction, Kemper in Mississippi, that should be up and running in 2014. There's a plant in Canada, a very small plant, that will be up and running very soon. But these cost a lot of money, and the one in Mississippi had a lot of federal subsidy to it. And that's always the way it is. Think of your cell phones. Think how much a cell phone cost when they first came out. They looked like bricks. They were very expensive. Most people couldn't afford them. But as innovation happened and as we made incremental progress, then it got to the point where almost everyone can afford a cell phone now. It's the same with all technology, and the EPA is standing in our way for having cleaner air in this country through this regulation.
And so what you're saying, this would take away the incentive to work on this new technology, and does that mean that utility companies would start building coal-fired power plants with old technology, and what you mean here is there'd be more pollution then?
Well, if you read today's Wall Street Journal, you'll see that they are talking about the 463-page document that basically admits that this will keep new plants from being constructed. People aren't going to go into an uncertain market and make these investments with the cost that's there now. It will add approximately $1 billion in cost to a plant that goes in now. And we need to be able to do this incrementally to test it, to get to that second generation of technology that brings that cost down. And you ask why? Well, the reason is because it's huge price increases for the American public, for individuals in their homes, but for small businesses on Main Street and for those that are making things in this country. It's going to make us competitively disadvantaged in the world.
Now, if you look at this from a very cynical standpoint, and I think a lot of Americans are unfortunately these days are inclined to do that, they might be saying this is exactly what the EPA wants. They want to get rid of coal. They want to push Americans to other sources of energy like natural gas. Is that what you say is going on here? Are they explicitly trying to, or I guess implicitly trying to push Americans to other sources of energy besides coal?
Well, if that's what they're trying to do, then over a period of time they're going to substantially increase the cost to the American consumers, because when we have fewer choices, prices will go up, and it goes against what they've been saying. This is why I said that they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. They say they want to have an all-of-the-above energy policy, yet we've got this de facto ban on new coal plants. I think it's bad policy for the country.
Now, we keep hearing about how the U.S. is experiencing a new energy boom, and a big part of that is natural gas. And we also hear people say that natural gas is one of the biggest enemies in this war on coal as well. It's abundant, it's relatively clean burning, and it's now cheaper than ever before. If I'm a utility company, why would I still choose to build a new coal-fired power plant instead of using one that's natural gas?
Well, I don't see gas as an enemy. I see it as part of an all of the above strategy that we really need to adopt as a country as a long-term policy. And you would choose coal because coal is what's been keeping the lights on 24/7 for a long period of time. When you go to the coal plants, they have to keep going 24 hours a day. And the base load electricity in this country, almost 40% of the electricity last year was produced by coal, comes from coal. Coal's easy to store, it's easy to ship, it's there, it's available, so on demand, and some of the other fuels can't do that immediately. They have to be shipped over periods of time, they don't have as good a market, they can't be stored as readily. That's why coal will continue to play, even under all government estimates, a major role as a fuel stock in this country for the next 30 to 40 years.
And of course, we're also talking about a lot of jobs at stake here for people in Kentucky and Ohio and West Virginia and many other places as well. But with these new regulations, you know, we talked about the EPA maybe effectively ending the coal industry with these regulations. How long do you see it remaining viable in the interim?
Well, I don't think it's going to end the coal industry. We're going to have coal. Solar is not ready. Wind is not ready. There's not enough hydro. People are not allowing new nuclear plants to go on. There's not enough capacity in the natural gas market. If we're to continue to flipping the switch and having electricity come on in this country, coal is going to be part of it. Part of my problem with the administration is they are pushing policies that will increase the average cost. In 2011, the average consumer family spent about $110 on electricity. That's double what they spent a decade ago, and those prices are going to skyrocket. If you're in a state that has more than 50% of your electricity produced by coal, your average kilowatt per hour is 8.8 cents. If you're in a state that doesn't, it's 11% higher. Huge variation in this country from 6 to 7 cents up to 32 cents in what it costs a kilowatt hour. So the policies are going to make it really difficult on the American family, the American consumer. Overall energy cost for a family below the median income in this country is about 20% of their budget, and that continues to go up. So who gets hit hardest? People that are on a fixed income.
Well, if there is a significant, it's true. If there is a significant increase in energy prices as a result of these, I'm sure that they will not be popular with the American people. You mentioned earlier, Mr. Duncan, you want people to speak out about this. Tell us the best way you think folks can do that if they're concerned about the coal industry.
Well, they can go on the EPA website, find out how they can make comments there. They can go on our website, Clean Coal USA. They can write to their congressman. They can write directly to the White House. They can write to the EPA administrator and demand to be heard. Demand that there be an economic analysis of this. This is going way too quickly. The American people aren't ready for this. Congress has really not spoken to this issue, and they need to. This was a one-size-fits-all solution. They're taking the Clean Air Act that really wasn't suited for this, and the person who drafted the law has said that. A Democrat from Michigan has said that this was not what it was intended to, and they're trying to force policy through this. And we need to slow that process down. We need to let the EPA know that this is a wrong-headed solution. And if they think that coal is not going to be a part of the American energy stock in the future, they've got their head in the sand.
All right, Mike Duncan, thanks for being with us. A pleasure talking with you, sir. We hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.